Hey folks, thanks for joining us on Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick and we're glad you came along on our third review of this series. Today, as per special request this past week, we will be reviewing Canadian Club, obviously Canadian whiskey. Now, Canadian Club is basically, the go-to whiskey in Canada, much as you would think of Jack Daniel's here in the United States. So let's run down what we got from the bottle, as usual, and some facts about what's in it, because, as we always say, it's nice to know what goes in where you're putting your money. So, like we said, Canadian Club is a blended whiskey. It's aged for about 5 to 6 years. The distillery is Hiram Walker, and that is in Ontario, Canada, and that dates back to 1858 or something like that. So definitely a long history of this whiskey. Now the mash bill consists of rye, malted barley, and corn. Now the important thing, and kind of a little fun fact, you hear a lot when people talk about whiskeys and there being a lot of corn in them. And they'll say, oh, you get that sweetness of corn, kind of the creaminess and things like that. But Canadian Clubs makes a point to say that the corn distillate produced is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. And they refer to that kind of as their base whiskey for this blend. So I thought that was just an interesting fact. You always try to think about what you're tasting. If you're tasting the maturation of the whiskey, if you're tasting the grain, that sort of thing. So I just thought that was a neat fact. Now, the maturation process is they will distill each grain, and instead of aging them, and then eventually, as we said last week with Jameson, how they'll just put them in a vat, they will blend them beforehand and then age them. So a lot of different processes out there, and it's fun to know the differences between them. They're aged in traditional white American oak barrels, of course. So, like we said, the distillery was founded by Hiram Walker in 1858. That company is now owned by Beam Suntory. Beam, of course, referring to Jim Beam, which is a subsidiary of Suntory in Japan. And so the bottle doesn't say all too much. It's bottled at standard 40% ABV, 80 proof. But there is, at least where I got the bottle at my local liquor store, 2013 gold medal International Spirits Challenge. So if that does something for you, great. I try not to base what I'm going to buy solely on awards. It's sort of a marketing strategy. As you've heard about most things, obviously, they want you to buy it, so they're going to, amp it up a bit. But let's not let that take away from our experience. So let's hit it off and pour a drain. Basic screw top, nothing fancy. So, as you can see, probably for 5 years, this has a little caramel coloring, I would say. So, there's that. So let's give it a nose. Now, the first thing you definitely get out of this is its youth. You get, at least I get, some grass notes, like fresh cut grass. There's a little pepper in there, like the spice pepper seasoning almost. Let's go back in. You can definitely smell the vanilla from the oak barrel. There's a little like chemical smell to it, an aldehyde sort of scent. I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's probably the age, but I'm not sure. And then the last thing I get is like this nutty quality to it. So let's go in for a taste. Interesting. Now, the first note that I kind of get, which is a little strange because it's so precise, is orange. You know, nice, ripe, juicy orange. And it's sort of like going to your high school reunion, and you're seeing all these people fly by. You're like, hey, how you doing? You know, I've seen you out on the street before. How you doing? And then you see the one person, you're like, whoa, who is it? Was that who I think it was? So that's kind of the punch that I get. It's kind of unexpected, I'd say, but very nice. Now again, I'm definitely, as with the nose, I'm getting the vanilla from the oak barrels. Getting a hint of cinnamon in there. The nuts, I would probably say, let's check. Yeah, more like roasted almonds almost. And then a little hint of that barley in the end, kind of this creaminess, nice and smooth. Now on the finish, it does leave rather abruptly. You're kind of like, at least your tongue is kind of like moving around in there trying to find the last bit, you know, flavor in there. It's definitely, you know, a well-bodied blend, and for the price, I mean, it's hard to beat. You know, it's really put together. You don't feel, there's nothing that throws you off. There's a lot going into it with the different grains, the rye, barley, and corn, blended nicely. We'll go in for one last. Yeah, on the whole, very nice. Like we said, the nice balance of the different grains. The only downside is it does leave a little bit abruptly, but you know, like it's made for, it's great for blending with other things, like we've said with, you know, Jack Daniels and Jameson. You know, they're really good blending whiskeys to put in different cocktails, or you know, throw some ice if you have to, or you know, some Coca-Cola, something like that. So yeah, and let's get to our score. So, for all intents and purposes, the Straight Talk Whiskey score of the Canadian Club Whiskey will be 85 out of 100, is what I'm going to give it. And just like that, there goes episode number 3, and thanks for joining us on Straight Talk Whiskey. Next time we'll be reviewing a Scotch, so look out for that. And until next time, drink responsibly, have a good week, and we'll see you on the other side.